All right, and here we are with another episode of the Slack Doctors. I am Dr. Chip.
I am Dr. Bob.
And we are back in our prospective homes. I'm down here in Coral Springs. Dr. Bob is back up in Gainesville, where I assume it's pretty nipply.
It was pretty cold this morning. It was actually 34. And I had early morning things I had to do too, right? So after the trip down there just recently, it was time for an oil change. So I made an appointment for 8 o'clock this morning, judging correctly that most of the kids in this town are not, in other words, there's going to be plenty of availability. And there was. I was in and out in an hour. It was only like $44. I don't know why people bitch it. And it was at the dealership. I don't know why people scream about how much the dealer overcharges them. I don't think you can get it done for much less than that somewhere else.
Really?
But the interesting part of the trip is, so I've got this chip in my windshield that occurred on one of the trips down there. So, a rock coming off the back of a semi. This is the third time that it's happened to me. Once I had to replace the whole windshield. Once it was small enough to repair. So this time I didn't even, that's not why I was there. I was just there for an oil change. But apparently they got a guy who works for Safelite or one of those, glass repair places who just hovers around the service department at the Honda dealership like a hawk. And anybody, you come in, bring your car in for anything, he's just running around looking at windshields. And if he sees a chip in your windshield, he comes and finds you in the waiting room, finds out if you have insurance. Because in Florida, your insurance, if you have full coverage, you have comprehensive, they cover the windshield and there's no deductible. So it's an easy sale to anybody because, hey, how would you like a new windshield? It's not going to cost you a penny. So long story short, I agree to do it. It's not going to cost me anything. I give him my insurance information. He has to go out and take a picture of it. And now I'm in a battle. They insist, the insurance company, after viewing the photos, insists that it's a repairable, that it needs to be repaired. And he insists, as a technician, that the chip is too deep and it's gone through both layers of glass and it's irreparable and has to be replaced. So now I'm playing a fun waiting game with the insurance company where I've already had to send 2 rounds of photos of the same thing. And I'm like, I don't understand why you want me to take a picture of it and send it to you again. It's going to be the same thing you just saw 45 minutes ago. No, nothing new has happened to the car in the last 45 minutes.
Well, at least you're not battling with them. They're just battling between themselves.
Yeah, well, I had to get involved at first, of course, to authorize the battle, so to speak, to indeed prove to them that I am an actual policyholder, blah, blah, blah. But at this point, it's let them fight with each other. It's like putting 2 banks on the phone with one another. Or I just saw a video the other day, and it's an old classic, 2 cell phones opposing each other, both with a Chinese takeout restaurant on the line, and they start getting in an argument. Why you call me? Like just screaming back and forth at each other. Never fails to entertain.
No.
Jerky boys kind of activity, but still good fun.
What's that line from? No and then. No and then.
Yeah, from Dude, Where's My Car? Yeah. And then?
Yeah, so I wanted to clear up, not that we have any credibility as don't ever believe anything we ever say, but at the same time, I have a couple of issues of credibility I think we should address. One of which being on the episode of Best Of that just came out, which, and if the clip would have run on longer, we would have addressed the issue. But it's where I claim that I've been voting since 1972. Clearly, I'm not old enough to be voting since 1972. Right. So but later
I was going to say we did clear that up on the episode.
Yeah, we did in fact come. I came to my senses, or you brought me to my senses, and 82. Yeah, no, 82. That's what I meant, right? And then the other contention, bone of contention, is that short that we posted that is supposed to be about Thomas Crooks, but for whatever reason you labeled it Tyler Robinson. And you can explain why you refused to change it.
The reason I didn't change it, and I told you this, but it has over 2,000 views. It's got more views than most of our shorts get in a really short period of time. So
I know. It's tough. It's tough to tell the truth when it's on the line.
It's like when a newspaper, the headline is completely wrong, but that's what sells. And then a couple of days later, they had to put a retraction. They put it real small and a couple of pages
maybe that's
in
what
at the bottom.
Should do. You should add to the title and go, "Oops, never mind. It's Thomas Crooks."
Right. Well, I was just I was just in our YouTube studio and looking at our analytics not that long ago,
Right.
and it hasn't like substantially grown in views since then. So
Right.
it's safe to go back and edit the title. It's not going
Okay,
to
well
hurt
there we go. I'll go
future
back and
viewership. So yeah, I'll do that
not
after
that our
once we get done
credibility
today.
is that great anyway, but just a couple of things that we should clear up that we're not exactly truthful. But anyway, speaking of truthful, I had to go to the
I
doctor
mean,
yesterday.
if you want to clear up things that are not exactly truthful, and I should probably say this just to get ahead of the game. My airline rant about my flight home, everything
Right.
in that it was true except for one very small detail. And it's the one detail that I could see somebody perhaps taking offense at, is that I didn't actually give a piece of nicotine gum to a child on a plane.
God, you were my hero. Come on, man. You're destroying
Yeah, I
my.
know. I wanted to. I thought
Oh,
about it. The
God, why
scene played out in
not?
my head of how funny it would be,
Oh,
but
God, I wish you had.
that is
See, now you're less
got to be
aggressive
illegal.
now. Now I think less of you because you confessed that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you were being
Oh,
all honest.
God.
I
Anyway,
felt like I should be the same. Or
so
did I? I could just be saying this to cover my ass.
that's
Yeah.
true. That's true. Good point. Good point. And if somebody comes with some film of it later, it's just AI. We totally deny it. No. So anyway,
Exactly. Yeah.
so I go to the doctor yesterday, and of course, first of all, I'm like, I don't even know why I'm there. They want to review my lab results, which I've already got my script, so I'm like, I don't care, whatever. All right, okay, I'll go over there. And surprisingly enough, I think I'd mentioned to you that they had said they're not going to take cash anymore, that they only take credit
Yes.
cards, and which was very odd because I figured after my new, like my insurance went up, my chiropractor copay went up. I figured for sure my general check would go up. They didn't even charge me anything for the visit today, which was like, oh, okay. I didn't even get to challenge your digital money thing going on. It was kind of a letdown. But one of the things I did, I'm killing it on the cholesterol tests. I got like, I guess there's two kinds. I guess they say one is a good kind. Well, apparently
Yeah.
my good,
HDL and LDL.
I don't know. Well, apparently my good kind is like 300 and something. Then my bad kind's like 280, which is apparently really bad. But whatever. Shut up. Who cares? I don't give a shit. But she started actually telling me because of course she tried to talk me into taking statins, which I'm like, nah, I don't think so. So she starts telling me all the stuff that I should avoid eating with high cholesterol. I don't know what I'm going to eat. I mean, there's literally nothing. What has low cholesterol that you can eat?
Here's the thing, though. This is one of the areas in where medicine is it's not exactly up to current science standards. The amount of cholesterol you eat is not necessarily the amount of cholesterol in your body. Your body produces cholesterol. Your body
True.
makes cholesterol.
Right.
I mean, the amount of cholesterol. If red meat has a lot of cholesterol in it,
Right.
and yet
Now
the
you eat a lot of
animal
that.
that is red meat doesn't eat any red meat. It somehow manages to turn all of that grain and grass into cholesterol. So,
Good point.
and cholesterol is important for the brain. It's not. It's
Yeah,
not
yeah,
the
yeah.
end all be
No,
all
but I'm
of your
just
health.
saying.
It's not
I
nearly
agree.
as dangerous as they would have you believe.
I agree. I don't care what my cholesterol is. I really don't care. But if I did care, what could I eat? There's like nothing. Anything that's low cholesterol is literally just bland and tasteless, isn't it?
Yeah, well, if you low cholesterol is essentially vegan,
Yeah. Yeah.
except for maybe
Chicken
I
breasts
guess
or something like
chicken
that.
breast. Yeah,
Right. No skin, no cheese, no
yeah, no
flavor.
skin, no dark
Yeah.
meat.
Like I'm
You know,
screw that. I'm not. Yeah. Anyway. So I'm acing my cholesterol, and tell you the truth. Last test, I don't even think I even fasted that well. Like I think I might have had a cup of coffee that morning with the cream and sugar in it. So it probably just maybe skewed a little bit too, because I just don't even take it seriously anymore. But
yeah, I have labs coming up on the 2nd, and I'd completely forgotten about them. They called me on my
oh
drive
right,
back.
right.
Actually, I'm going 75 down the turnpike, and the primary care office calls me
And
to remind me about the labs. There's an appointment that was made months ago.
how rigorous is that a word? Rigorous. How well do you fast? How much do you fast? Pretty like don't eat anything, don't drink anything.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's only from midnight the night before.
Oh, I think for me it's like from 8 o'clock or something like that. But
oh
whatever.
no, mine is just an 8 hour. It has to be a minimum of 8 hours, and that's easy. I mean, I go to sleep well before midnight. My appointment is at like
Maybe
8 o'clock in the morning.
Maybe
I
I'm
just
fasting better
won't
than I
drink
have
coffee.
to.
That's all.
Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, that's the hardest thing for me is to remember not to have a cup of coffee before doing it. That's
Right.
otherwise.
And
But
aside from coffee, literally the only thing I drink is water. So, and you're allowed to have that. So that doesn't really cramp my style in any way.
Right. And of course, my doctor's appointment, the funniest and most humiliating moment. First of all, the nurse. My doctor's not bad looking either. To tell you the truth, she's not bad. But this nurse that was in there before the doctor, I mean, just hot by hot, big booty Latina, hot as shit. I mean, and so she's in there and she's asking me questions, like, oh, how, do you drink alcohol? And I'm like, nah, not very much. And like, do you take drugs? And I'm like, well, I don't know if you count marijuana, the medication of marijuana that we've discussed before, but yeah, blah, 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 blah. And then she looks at me very demurely and she's like, are you sexually active? And I'm like, of course, in my mind was screaming like, I don't know. What do you got in mind?
Yeah, in my mind, I'm like, look at my watch. How much time do we have before the doctor comes in? We could be.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, but I can't make it creepy, so I'm just like,
right.
No, it's like so pathetic.
Given the opportunity, yes, but like what kind of time frame? Like how specific do you need me to be with this response?
That could have been completely hilarious moment of like, yeah, no, I wish I could say what I want to say, but no, I'm not really right at the moment, not sexually active. That was hilarious. I thought I was like, oh my God, that was hilarious. Anyway, so the weather today is kind of like it was when you were down here Wednesday, kind of like cloudy and shitty and rainy a little bit. I actually got a little rain on the way down here. I was really hoping I could take my bike today because yesterday it was gorgeous. It was beautiful. But anyway, my point being, I don't know what the weather's going to be like tomorrow, but I will be at the South Florida Fair tomorrow for 5.5 hours. 5.5 hours. I'm playing at 7:30, and we have to be there at 2. What the fuck am I going to do for 5.5 hours at the fucking fair?
What do you have to go through airport security at the fair? What's going on?
Dude, here's the thing. I mean, I kind of get it. I mean, all right, look, these people, they're running the fair. They're not they're not Einsteins. So there's there's 6 bands. So they don't want to have to worry about, because they have to open up like a special gate to let us in the back so we can do our equipment, yada, yada, yada. They even in the email says like, look, don't even come here until you all are together, like meet up at Dick's down the street first and like rally yourselves together and then come all at once. And, I understand they don't want to have somebody manning a gate that's got to check people and make sure their friends aren't sneaking in with them and yada, yada. So, look, all right, I get it. Everybody's got to be there. Like certain people got to be there by 1, and then everybody's got to be there by 2. So I get it, but what am I going to do at I'm bringing a pillow. What am I going to do for 5.5 hours at the fair? I mean, I guess I could watch all the bands maybe, but good Lord. And here's the thing.
Do they at least give you like free tickets to walk around and do stuff in the fair while you're waiting?
I'm not sure, but I think so. I think Dwayne said we do get to go on the rides or something like that. Maybe. I don't know. I actually called my cousin. On the way here, I was like, hey, what are you doing tomorrow? I'm going to be at the fair for 5.5 hours if you want to come by and hang out at the fair for a couple hours with me. But, what was I just going to say?
I wouldn't suggest eating before you perform at the fair. That could go.
Oh, I'm having a turkey leg. Screw that, dude. There's 5.5 hours. I mean, it's not like you're still going to be full if you eat it 2 hours before you go on. But anyway, yeah, I'm having a turkey leg. And here's the thing. It's not even. I even thought about like it's bad for us because we're the last ones to go on, so we had to wait the whole time. But think of the poor bastards that go on first. They got to wait the whole time until the end because if they win, they got to go on again. Right? The producer over there. So I'm like, those poor bastards, I mean, they just got to play and then just be like, well, at least they're pretty much, unless they win, they're done.
A battle of the bands.
Yes, it's a battle of the bands, which is interesting because, I know we're not going to win. I know who's going to win. As a matter of fact, as I'm going to make my prediction right now on
No. Don't say anything. Go on Kalshi or one of those other prediction markets. You have legal inside knowledge, and see if you can
No, I don't have
get
any
a bet going for
knowledge.
that.
I'm just making a prediction.
Oh, okay. Well, in that case,
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I know who's going to win, but not because I have any kind of inside knowledge, just because I know it's a battle of the band. It's fixed. I know who's going to win, and it's going to be the Foo Fighter guys. That's my prediction. We'll see if we shoot again the next episode, I'll be able to tell you whether I was right or not. But anyway, if we come in second or third, we make some money and everything. It'll be in the whole thing. No matter what, we get a video out of the thing. Which, tell you the truth, if I'd have known about the 5.5 hours, I'd have told those guys, "Screw this. I'll just pay for a video." But anyway, we'll get some free video.
Is this the STP tribute band?
Yeah. But here's the thing. There's only 6 bands, so there's like 50-50 chance we're coming in the money. 3, first, second, and third are making money.
Right.
So, I don't know. You tell me. And I think we got a good chance just because of the different bands that are being represented. All right, so Foo Fighters, and that's probably who's going to win. We got STP. We got Chili Peppers, the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Now, one of them is supposedly a tribute to The Cure, and I've seen this band.
They're not going to win.
Well, they don't play that much Cure there, though. I've seen clips of them playing, and about half the time I see a clip of them playing, they're playing like Flock of Seagulls or something like The Cure. So they're they're not a Cure tribute, or more of like a genre tribute, I think. Not really all The Cure, but anyway. So there's them, and then there's Godsmack and Creed. So, yeah, I don't think Godsmack or Creed either have a chance, just because they're just too obscure of a. You need a lot of, I don't know. But you never know. Maybe the performance. I don't know how they.
I see. I'm going to say you're going to come in third. The Chili Peppers are coming in second, and Foo Fighters are coming in first.
Yeah, could be. What was the other one? The Cure one? Yeah, that might be a good call. Yeah. As long as you come in first,
have you gotten a look at any of these other bands? Do they
say again?
Have you seen any of these other bands?
Other than the Cure one, and I've only seen videos of them on Facebook or whatever. Other than the Cure one, not really. Well, it's funny because
my question was going to be which one of these 6 bands is the most visually accurate? Like, who looks the most like the original act?
That's I don't know.
Because the guy who's trying to impersonate Flea, that's an interesting look to pull off if he pulls it off well enough. I don't know what those
guys look like. No, I have no idea. Well, the funny thing is the Creed band is actually, and they're using their cover band name as a band called Thought Monkey, which I've actually played with those guys. I know their drummer. Their drummer Mike is insanely good. But that's the other thing. Like when I played with them, it was completely different guys other than the drummer and the singer. Those are the only 2 that are still the same. But yeah, they're the Creed tribute, but they're not even calling themselves like, Arms Wide Open or anything like that. They're just Thought Monkey, which is their cover band name, which is interesting. But I'm sure they'll be good because I know that drummer, Mike, he's amazing. He's insane. I think
What name did you guys go with?
We're Unglued. STP Unglued. I think. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. I think that's it. And then our old guitar player also has an STP tribute called the STP Project. Spelled with a K instead of a C or something like that. Funky like that. And those guys are actually pretty good. I've seen them. They're not bad. But they have 2 guitar players, which is, it's audibly more correct, but visually, then STP never had 2 guitar players. But I mean, a lot of the tracks definitely have more than one guitar going on. But yeah, but that should be interesting.
How did they do those tracks live when?
Yeah, well, yeah, that's yeah. I wonder if I wouldn't put it past STP to use certain tracks for certain stuff. Maybe not like a guitar track during a song, but maybe for stuff like sound effects. Like I think I saw them do Vaseline live once, and in that little feedback thing at the beginning is just, I think that they have that pre-recorded, and they just run that and then start the song. But I don't know. But I don't know why I was even talking about that. I don't know what the point of that was. But anyway. But yeah, the other thing about tomorrow is if it is going to be that freaking cold tomorrow, I mean, we're kind of outside. And my hands don't work that great when it gets that cold. I've had problems before. I remember one time I playing outside when it was really cold and it was like hard. It felt like it was almost like I was drunk, like it was hard to keep up because my hands were, they weren't so cold. They weren't like working right. It was weird. So hopefully it's not, even if it's that cold though, by 7:30 at night, it'd probably be at least not that bad. Who knows though?
I don't know. Tomorrow and tomorrow night, 7:30 at Palm Beach County. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, Fairgrounds, Palm Beach Fairgrounds, yeah, South Florida Fair. And I guess I assume this must be the last weekend for it. Maybe, I don't know. I think it's been there for how long's the fair here usually? For a month or is it a couple of weeks?
It's like almost a month. It's usually, I think, 3 weeks.
All right. Well, I know they've been here for 2 weeks, so maybe they got a week left after this week. But I haven't been to the fair.
All right. Well, it looks like 6 p.m. tomorrow, West Palm Beach, 56 degrees. 8 p.m., 51 degrees. 10 p.m., 46 degrees.
Well, we'll be done by then. We're only playing a half hour even, too, which is 5.5 hours wait to play a half hour. It just seems so insane.
Unless you win.
Yeah. Well, I don't think we're going to win, but I don't know. I mean, I think if we win like $5,000 or something like that. But I think even if we come third, we win like at least $1,000 or, at least something to make it worth our time. At least get us paid back for the amount we spent on. What's that?
Probably 1,000, 3,000, and 5,000.
Yeah, maybe something like that. I forget what it is. I saw it once, but I don't remember. But yeah, if we don't come in the money, we're basically spent some money to go spend 5.5 hours at the fair, and we'll get a video out of the deal though. So
every time I even hear or think about the expression, battle of the bands, I always think of Up in Smoke and the earache my eye and how they won the battle with that.
Mama suck it to me.
Just surprise them and come out with the full costumes, the tutu, everything. Captain Quaalude and.
It's so funny. I was just thinking about. I don't think. Did you ever hang out with me and Skip with like friends of his named Bobby and Chauncy? Does that mean those names mean anything to you?
No, and I would remember a dude named Chauncy.
You would. Absolutely. If you met him, you would never forget this guy. Well, here's the thing. These two guys used to hang out with my uncle and party, and we used to party with them. They used to actually have back in the day, they had a boat that they basically put on a Jeep Cherokee chassis called the Runaground that they would drive around town, and it was a boat. And you would drive, you sit behind the wheel of, had the little windshield, and it looked like you were driving a boat with wheels on it. It was insane. But these guys were literally, they were almost carbon copies of Cheech and Chong. Like the Bobby guy used to run around with a tutu all the time, just doing crazy shit like Cheech used to, or like Chong used to do, or no, Cheech used to do. And the other guy was like a taller white guy with long hair, kind of looked like Cheech with a beard. And they were literally the living embodiment of Cheech and Chong, except I don't think they smoked weed. All he really did was drink a lot, and I think they did some other chemicals as well. But yeah, these two guys were the physical embodiment of Cheech and Chong in real life, and basically their playground was Sebring. They would go to Sebring every year, and the Runaground would go and park next to the F Troop, which is the name of their truck. And do you even remember F Troop from the back in the day, the TV show?
I've never watched it, but I know what it is.
Yeah, there was very, very subservient, or it was almost like a Western version of Laugh-In or something like that. It was very counterculture. But anyway, they named this van that they had that they'd camp in, the F Troop, and they were crazy.
These sound like quite colorful dudes, and I would have remembered that.
They were. They absolutely were.
Speaking of people you used to hang out with interesting names, Chauncey there, whatever happened to Bip?
Oh, I don't know. Speaking of that,
I can remember when you guys both had jet skis and Skip had the boat. The phrase Chip, Skip, and Bip
He was Danny's friend, and I often wonder whatever happened to Danny. Remember Danny? Dan
No.
Polnasic or whatever his name was, real good-looking dude. That's how we met Bip. That was his friend. The waiter, Dan. Real good-looking young guy. He was dating the hot hostess. I can't remember. You can't remember Dan. He's the guy that turned me in remember he was a waiter, and then they put in those stupid little squirrel cashier system that you made the card for? And then he went and left.
The one that Joe and I hacked. Yeah.
Right. Well, he went and left and went and worked for them. Don't you remember?
Oh, I think, okay.
Yes, Dan.
Yes.
That's what I wonder. That's what I wonder about. Like, whatever happened to Dan? That guy was, he was a cool dude. But, yeah, he ended up having to turn me in, which was, you remember that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so funny. That
must have been pretty. That was what was the name of those stupid cards? Is that what you're talking about? Those Gold Coast cards? Well, the name of the
system was the Squirrel system or some shit like that. I remember it was Squirrel or something. And for those that don't know, this is literally, I mean, what are we talking? Late 80s, early 90s?
Mid 80s.
Mid 80s? Really?
Mid to, yeah.
Man, maybe. I mean, it had to be like 87, 88. But anyway, this is the first. We were working in a restaurant. It was the first ever where you touched the screen to do stuff instead of like a button or something like that. That was
it was one of the first point of sale systems anybody designed, and it was rife with security issues.
Yeah, ways to rip him off, and I got caught doing it. But that must have been so weird for him because this guy, he was a waiter there. This guy, Dan Polnasic, great guy. He was a waiter there, and then they installed the system, and he went and worked for the company that installed the systems, and blah, 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 blah. Well, meanwhile...
Yeah, it was Squirrel.
Right. So meanwhile, I had figured out some way to... And I don't know if... Were you at that July 4th party at Gail and Jerry's house where I basically... It was so funny because we're all...
Ed, right? Ed and Gail?
Yeah, Ed, yeah. Oh, that's right. Jerry's Catering. That's who we work for. Ed and Gail, yeah. Anyway, so we're at the owner's house, and the manager... And this, I don't know if you remember, but that's the first time we ever, like, openly smoked weed with, like, the manager and the owner of the restaurant. And we're, like, in the guy's house
I do
smoking
remember
weed.
that.
And we're like, wow, this is kind of, this is groundbreaking shit going on here, right? And so anyway, I remember distinctly at that party, John, the manager, looks over at Ed and he goes, hey, we got some kind of problem with the system. We're missing like X amount of dollars over the last 3 or 4 months. And I'm just automatically, I'm like, oh, shit. I knew right then. I was like, oh, shit. That sounds exactly like the amount I've been ripping them off for.
Joe and I cracked that thing real easy. And we never, all I ever used it for when I worked there was food. I would order myself food and then eat it and then close out the check.
Good for you. Screw those people. But anyway, what I would do is, it was very strange. The system had a way of printing out one check that you could give them, and then you brought it back and you had to settle with the system. But there was another way to print out another check that was like a little less, and then you could give them the one that was more, and then come back if they paid cash and settle the one that was less.
It was sales tax, right?
Apparently,
one was with or without sales tax.
Apparently, it was sales tax, and I didn't know what it was. I was just like, screw it, I'm making more money per every check. It was all averages. I mean, they caught me for doing that. If they'd have caught me for what I was actually stealing from them, they would have really been pissed. And as I think I explained this before when I told this whole story, I had started stealing from these people long before when the old owner was still there, and he just deserved it. He was an asshole. Screw that guy. So this was already kind of like...
You were kind of grandfathered in.
Yes, absolutely. And this was kind of like it was just already baked in. Everybody was, stealing whatever they were doing. And but they finally called me in and said, hey, and they called me in because they had called Danny back, and Danny had to go in there and go through all and say, yeah, it's Chip. He had to basically tell him, yeah, it's him. And, I can't blame the guy. He had to do what he had to do. He's working for the people. So I'm like, so they get me in the office, and they're trying to confront me about this, and I'm playing stupid at first. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. I just, and they couldn't prove anything. because obviously I wasn't doing anything wrong. I'm just settling the checks in the system. I don't know. What are you talking about? Anyway, so eventually after like an hour of like grilling me, I finally admitted to it. I was like, all right, you got me, whatever. And they were like, oh, we love you so much that, just pay us back and, it'll all be forgotten, which of course is all bullshit. I paid them back and then they fired me. But it was funny because I only had to pay them back like, I don't know, not very much compared to what I was actually stealing from them. And then, of course, the moral of the whole story is that, like, literally about a year after they fired me for embezzling from them, I saw Ed's picture on the front page of the Palm Beach Post for embezzling from Jerry's Catering where he worked. So it turns out I was only stealing from thieves. So the whole thing is just, yeah. That's the last time I ever stole from anybody, too, by the way, because it was pretty tough sitting across the desk from Ed admitting, like, yeah, I've been stealing from you. And at the time, I was kind of like, we were kind of buds, so it was like, yeah, I have been. Yeah, little double dip in there. Yeah, you got me. And that's the last time I ever really stole from anything from anybody. But till then, I was stealing like, the Gold Coast thing. That was very lucrative. So we're back now.
Well, here's what was making it so enraging on my end is that I would answer your question, but of course I couldn't hear you. And then 45 seconds later, I could hear my voice in the studio saying to you, yeah, I can hear you. And then you're like, oh, yeah, great. And I'm like, no, not great. Like, did you not notice that my mouth wasn't moving when you heard that?
But it was moving, though. And I don't know. It was weird. Anyway, we're back. We're back to it. Anyway, I was pretty much done with my tales of embezzlement. Anyway, I was ready to move on to a new topic. Anyway, but you don't have any news nuggets by any chance, did you?
No, I mean, not other than the debacle of the Safe Flight and the insurance company that's ongoing right now. But that's just personal. Nothing in the news.
Well, there's one thing I wanted to talk about is as far as this new ICE or as far as I know, the latest ICE shooting where they basically gunned that guy down for apparently no reason. The fact that so many of these right wingers are trying to justify the existence of ICE by the fact that we need these guys to apprehend all these murderers and rapists and gang members and that and the other. So my question is, so we've given up on the cops? All the bootlicking, all the money, the billions and billions, these guys can roll in, no investigation, no nothing, and somehow just round these people up, and yet the people that have been trying to find them for decades, we're just going to give them a pass and say, okay, yeah, that's great. You guys were completely useless for decades, and these guys now got to come do your job. I mean, does that seem...
It's just licking different boots.
Exactly. And it's going to get the same exact result. I mean, as obvious to anybody that's actually watching the numbers, clearly Biden and Obama got, deported many more people without near the fanfare. It's clearly all theater. It's clearly, trying to
Remember when Elian Gonzalez was getting snatched up at gunpoint?
Right. Same show, same circus, different clowns. Absolutely. Yeah, it's so crazy. And then the other part about and then the right wingers that are now all of a sudden against carrying guns at a protest. Like, as a matter of fact, I busted somebody really bad that was bitching about it. It was Adam Carolla. He was pointing out on his podcast how badass the Koreans were during the L.A. riots when they got up on their roofs with rifles.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, Adam Carolla supports the Yellow Panthers and the Black Panthers.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of documentaries about those rooftop Koreans.
Yeah, and it's like, Adam Carolla's all for that, but I bet you if you made them Black Panthers on the roof, Adam Carolla's story would change really quick. Like, yeah, that's the whole point. The First Amendment says not only can we protest, But you can have a gun while you protest. That's the whole point of it. That's the thing that's bringing the thunder. That's the whole thing that enforces the whole protest. Like, look, we're here to make some changes, and if you don't, we have these guns, by the way. That's I don't know. I mean, to me, that's the whole point of protesting, but otherwise, I don't get it. But so anyway,
I feel like it certainly was then when there was more parity between the average individual and at that time the federal government was pretty weak. It's not like they had access to vastly better technology or whatever than the average Joe did. It's not like it is now.
When's this?
When the Constitution was written, the First Amendment, Second Amendment, the whole world then, the paradigm was very, very different.
True. But the concept's still the same, Look, you got to be able to at least redress your, grievances to your government, or else what's the point? Then you're just a slave. You're just a subject. You're not a citizen. You're a subject. But anyway, I digress. But yeah, apparently they're pulling it back now, and they're going to stop doing all that shit. Trump has caved once again, which of course has got a bunch of his base really pissed off, like Nick Fuentes and Matt Walsh and a couple of these other guys. Like, he caved. You big. What do you expect, dumbasses? And of course, and I've said it a million times, don't tell me you're not serious about solving the immigration problem by telling me that you don't think we should be fining the employers. Why aren't you going to the people that are employing these people and going, we caught like 20 people that shouldn't have been here. That'll be $10,000 a piece. That would solve the problem pretty damn quick. But then again,
much quicker than
But gardeners at Mar-a-Lago are hard to find, so you can't just go willy-nilly getting rid of actually all the immigrants,
Right.
But yeah, it's so
people still want strawberries.
Yeah, right. Speaking of which, I just saw this thing, and it's I don't know if you don't ever watch any like real estate videos or on YouTube or anything like that, do you?
Just the ones you sent me.
Well, I was going to say I do, and I've got. It's so funny on my. It's like I told you idiots this 5 years ago. The bubble was gonna crash. It was just a matter of time, and now, of course, they're all like, "Oh, the bubble's crashing." Like, duh, hello. But there's one video that I saw. This guy was trying to sell all these like out in the middle of nowhere houses like they were some kind of big deal. Like, look at all these under $250,000 houses deals in Florida. Of course, it's a freaking trailer in the middle of nowhere. Like, yeah, I wouldn't give you $50,000 for that. Why would? And this guy's like trying to make it like it's a big deal, and like, oh yeah, you can get these great deals. I'm like, that's not a deal. Give it 6 months. It's going to be back down to like 50,000, 100,000, whatever it's worth. Really, it's crazy watching these people getting desperate. And God forbid anybody that like I'm my buddy John Angeloni. I know he just got a real estate license, and I don't know. I'd be surprised if he could possibly have done anything with it. I mean, the real estate market is just frozen, except for maybe rentals. He might be able to get some rental deals done, possibly.
Right, and those are all coming down too, right?
What's that? Those
are coming down too, right?
Oh yeah. Speaking of which, you didn't happen to. I meant to have you go drive by that house. That's literally a block away from my house. That's for rent. That one that we were so shocked it has 3 bedrooms, even though it's only like 1,000 square feet.
Yeah.
It's literally a block away from my house. This doesn't look that bad, really. I mean, but it's still. I mean, they're still asking like $2,750 or something like that. That's too much, Maybe 2,000, 2,200, somewhere in there. But yeah, that's pretty crazy. There are a couple of deals popping up here and there that look like, okay, yeah, it's definitely trending the right way. And as a matter of fact, after our conversation with Becca last episode, I kind of took a look at some of just some like vacant lot prices, especially in that area that we were looking at in West Palm or whatever. And dude, some of those people are just still insane. Like, I mean, asking so much money for an empty plot of land, like asking $300,000 and $400,000 for, and it's like, what? What are you people crazy?
I was thinking maybe 50 to 100,000.
That's what I would think.
And exactly. Each lot is a bit steep for for a tenth of an acre or whatever it is, the lot size.
Right. Well, which is funny because one of them did pop up in downtown West Palm was like 17 grand, which I'm like, okay, that's more like it. And I looked at it, and it wasn't a bad little lot for 17 grand, to tell you the truth. But then in like one of the little, like a little thing on the page or something said, recently, not downgraded, but upgraded to 3 million or something, some shit like that. Which is like, they didn't really say that anywhere officially, but I was like, well, that's weird. It's an odd thing to say on this listing, but yeah, I don't know. But that might be the way to go when stuff does get down to affordability. Might be just to buy an empty lot somewhere where we want and just build what we want there. It'd certainly be a lot easier than finding something that we're looking for.
Right. One of these, I'm sure at some point in time, Schumann's going to finally sell that place he lives. It had to be torn to the ground, but that location is just amazing.
True. But there's places like that. Like I'm telling you, all right, so you know how far it is from the Woolbright 95 exit to the Atlantic exit. That's like a really long stretch of highway, all right? And so commercial-wise, everybody knows that the closer you are to an exit to 95, the more valuable, right? So I'm telling you, if you go over to Dixie and go into about the middle of between Woolbright and Atlantic, there's lots of opportunity there, dude. I'm telling you, there's all kinds of empty buildings. There's stuff for sale. There's lots for sale. I think that's where we should be looking, because that's also be a perfect area to have something like what we're envisioning, because it doesn't exist anywhere near there. They kind of have places like what we're thinking of doing in West Palm, but I don't know, maybe not so much. But anyway, that's kind of where I kind of keep my from the when I used to go to the old studio, I would drive back that way all the time and just be driving down Dixie going like, oh, yeah, that place looks cool. That might be what we need, or whatever. And some of them are for sale, some of them not. But there's certainly a ton of empty as shit stuff that's just clearly been sitting there. Who knows how long it's facing sitting there. But the other problem with that, though, is, the developers... I guess the developers could, at some point, when it gets cheap enough, come in there and just start outbidding everybody and just buy all that stuff up. So that's where it's going to be really the tricky thing. And, what makes it, what I noticed was funny is if you drive down Dixie and you get close enough to Atlantic, there are still buildings right on Dixie that are clearly used to be a house. Or may even still be a house, possibly, but more likely a house turned into like Dada or like an office building or something like that. But clearly, at some point, were a house. Or even say every once in a while, you see one that maybe somebody could even still be living as a residence. But, dude, you know how much those places would go for if you tried to buy them? Those things, you're talking millions and millions and millions of dollars. And so, because I'm sure some developers probably circling that place like a hawk going, like, yeah, if it gets affordable, buy it up, get rid of that place, put an office building or whatever, So who knows? I don't know. We'll have to. And then, of course, the other race is trying to make sure that we, can buy someplace before a lot of money is useless, which, I don't know if you've seen the petrodollar is definitely on the decline.
Might have to pay gold for that house.
Yeah, I ain't got no gold. Maybe I could pay in bass guitars. Bass guitars and motorcycles, but I ain't got no gold. Yeah. Anyway. So what else?
One thing we haven't even brought up once in this entire episode is 904-549-9024. If anybody has any hot real estate tips or advice for us or knows a place and wants to leave us a comment or just call us douchebags, they should do that at 904-549-9024.
I'm glad you mentioned comments, because I actually took a glance back at the comments on the YouTube page. And our friend Cindy, Cindy, right? You remember Cindy?
Yeah.
Yeah. She made a comment about the fact that we were talking about the horses and the motorcycles all getting on from the right side.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised you didn't know this. She pointed out that the reason for that is the swords.
Yes. No, I did. I had always assumed that. I didn't talk about it on the pod.
No. Yeah.
No, but I did give her a heart reaction.
Oh, right.
I did read the comment. Yeah.
But I was surprised you didn't bring that up while we were talking about the subject.
That's also why, staircases and castles wind a certain way. It's so that the defender can back up and have their right arm free to swing the sword, whereas the person invading going up the stairs is forced to use their offhand or be awkward. Yeah.
Interesting.
And of course, it's why they drive on the left, and that has more to do with jousting, even more so than a sword. But couching your lance on the other side. But the sword too. I mean, everybody's predominantly, most people are right-handed, so yep, it all goes back to that.
Interesting. And then another comment was,
I mean, the whole, and a lot of customs and whatnot are just based on old military things, or shaking hands is just to prove that you don't have a weapon in your hand. I mean,
right. And another comment we got was from our friend Scott, and it was very specific to me about how I learned bass parts, and I don't know.
I saw that too.
Yeah, it seems like a boring. I mean, I just now it's easy. I mean, it used to be hard. I mean, he was talking about some program he uses to do it, which seems interesting. But nowadays, I mean, especially with Stone Temple Pilots, you can either just find the isolated track on YouTube, which means okay, I can hear exactly what he's playing and figure it out. Or in Rob DeLeo's case, he actually does, like, I guess, some clinics every once in a while, because I remember I watched him. That's how I know how to play Interstate right now, is I watched him do it. I was like, he shows a whole room full of people. He goes, oh, this is how I play it. Like, oh, okay. So, in some cases it's easy. In other cases it's like, yeah, good luck. But, learning bass parts, who cares? Anyway, what else we got to talk about?
I don't know. It's kind of out.
Right? How long have we been doing this? Got like 40, 50 minutes at least in so far, right?
Oh, yeah. It's after 3, so.
Right. All right. Well, we wrap this one up. I got to get home. I got to go to the grocery store today badly.
Yeah, I think you're going to be colder tomorrow night than you think.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, I mean, like I say, it's only a half hour. There's only a couple of songs that are even kind of difficult that I can't play with frozen fingers. But yeah. But I mean, like this, it's usually cold in the morning. It's not that bad in the evening, unless you're out in the wind or something, and we're inside a tent, so it can't be that bad. They may even, I assume they probably even have heaters and stuff, I would assume, being the fair.
Well, I saw the many messages sent back and forth between your band members about whether they could bring heaters, and whether they could. One guy wanted to bring a propane heater, and somebody else said they probably wouldn't allow that, but maybe an electric one. These were all on Facebook Messenger.
Right,
I said, I can see it for just a couple of seconds, and then it goes away.
No kidding. No, yeah, I think I would assume they probably have heaters out there. I don't think they need to bring heaters, but whatever. If they were crazy enough to bring a heater, good for them. I actually had to take the fan out of my Jeep to fit my speakers in today. I put them in today. I was like, oh yeah, I'm not going to need this fan. Definitely don't need that for this gig. All right. So we'll wrap this one up, and we'll do another one after the weekend, and see what happens before then.
We'll find out all about tell us all about the fair.
That's true, yeah, and see if my prediction comes true, which I got money. I would put money. we should put it on DraftKings or something. Like, who's going to win the South Florida Battle of the Bands? Get some betting.
I gave you my prediction. Oh. Foo Fighters, followed by Red Hot Chili Peppers, followed by you guys, STP.
Speaking of which, it's funny. Since I got kicked off Facebook, one of my buddies called me up, which is actually I used to give him a hard time because he kind of like was saying he wasn't crazy about the show, but he called me up. He's like, what happened to you on Facebook? And I was telling him I got kicked off. He's like, oh, that's bullshit. Keep doing it. Keep doing what you're doing. Like, so I guess now he knows the show. Now he likes the show or whatever. So I don't know. There's a point I was going to make. No, I don't remember what it was. Oh, the point was that this guy, what he should do, and he talked about doing a podcast on his own too. I was like, yeah, you should just do one. And what this guy would be really good at is roast battles. I told him, I sent him a message. I said, dude, you should, if you set up a roast battle, you can either do it on my podcast or you do your own or whatever, but we got to do this. Because there's a guy, he's actually playing in Mighty Quinn, which this doesn't mean anything to you, but the locals will know who I'm talking about. And the lead singer of the Mighty Quinn is this guy named Edgar, and I was like, dude, you've got to roast Edgar. This guy is the most roastable guy ever. He will be able, and the thing is, you'll have to get a bunch of guys together like they do with the roast battles and write jokes and stuff about the guy, which will be, and well, you write jokes about everybody involved, obviously. But this guy will be so easy to write jokes about it. It'll just be hilarious. But yeah, so I don't know. Maybe we'll have a roast battle on the podcast someday in our future.
That sounds like a lot of fun, actually.
Right. And the other thing I thought about maybe trying is, you ever watch Story Wars? the guys from Skankfest, they do this thing called Story Wars, where it's basically the two of them and then like 3 guests, and everybody submits these stories, and then somebody reads the stories, and you got to try and guess whose story it is. It's pretty entertaining. If we had 3 guests that were willing to, you have to sit around and submit like 5 stories of whatever, and you pick they pick a category of what the story's got to be about or whatever. But that'd be a fun thing to do on an episode. Do some story wars. We'd have to have 3 guests, obviously. So, that's the other thing now. I don't know how I'm going to line up any guests without Facebook anymore. I'm going to have to basically just stick to who I got on my phone or my email contacts.
Or X. Yeah.
Oh, speaking of which, I'm Dr. Chip on X. I have no friend. Nobody's. I don't even know how to find anybody on X. If anybody wants to follow me on X, the only people I even get any chance to even follow are like, Tucker Carlson or Dave Smith or Candace. There's nobody local. There's nobody. I haven't found. I tried to find Dwayne from the STP thing, and I looked him up on X, and he's got like 8 accounts. I was like, which one? Which one do I? Which one do I even? I don't know. But yeah. X is very mysterious to me. It's interesting. I do post our episodes there though. So if anybody, since I can't post them on Facebook anymore, so if anybody wants to see our newest episodes, they're on X, on the Dr. Chip account. Yeah, I don't know. It says Dr. Chip and then a number, but I don't think the number shows past my name. I don't know how X works. But anyway. All right. We'll wrap it up.
Like, comment, share, subscribe, all that good stuff.
904-549-9024. Call us up, leave some comments. Or leave me some comments on X. As a matter of fact, I should start bringing in, because I actually make some funny comments on X every once in a while. I have to bring in my laptop and bring it up. Although I've never even tried to log into X with my laptop, so that'll be interesting too. I haven't even touched the laptop since you've been at my house, and we set it up for the Zoom that we won't use now, right?
Yeah, apparently.
Hilarious. All right, we'll catch you guys next time.
All right, thanks, guys.